Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 32 of All the Mods 3 Expert Mode. We are on Luna, or I guess the moon in colloquial terms. Here we have bees, apparently wintry bees specifically, and a bunch of, I don't know, moon turf, regolith I believe it's called. Anyways, while we're here, our goal is to acquire some dilithium. It looks like dilithium will be the fuel for us to go further. All right, let's grab our scanner. And do I have a scanner module I can use? Probably don't need the one for nether copper ore anymore, huh? Let me do a little digging to find a piece of dilithium ore I can use to, power or to set the scanner with. But then, we'll be looking for just a little bit of this dilithium stuff. Unsurprisingly, regular torches don't work on the moon. They rely on fire. So when you place them, they become unlit torches and don't generate any light. I guess they become normal torches when you break them. But anyways, Tinker's Construct to the rescue with stone torches. Haha. That's not dilithium. But yeah, this will make it so I can actually, explore caves in here. That's still not it. There we go, here's some dilithium ore. So we'll set our scanner on it and I'll just mine some. We get, wow, that was a 35 piece vein apparently. Huge. Let's see, so we can pretty easily process it into at least 2. Looks like there's a million and a half ways to turn it into 2 ores. I'll look for another couple veins, but I don't think we need much more than 35 of this stuff because basically we use it once, right, to teleport there, and then we use other teleportation methods afterwards that don't consume fuel. Oh, there's a lot of this stuff around. All right. Fuel in hand. Let's see about making the rest of the warp system. So that is the core and the controller. We can probably remove all those. And I don't think we'll be going back to the moon for a bit, so we can put our real armor on. Complete with night vision and probing. Alright, so the warp controller, we need one of these. Most of these components are pretty easy, like I can make it in the assembler with less resources, or I can save time. Or I can run out of copper, one or the other. And this does have to be made in the assembler. All right. I think this is the first time using our crystallizer. It takes silicon, and it makes silicon. Wow. And this will be our first time using the precision assembler. So inputs go in there, and it is it's very quick. In fact, it's so quick it's not even doing anything to those items. They just, wow. I was looking forward to like all the little bits doing their thing, but I guess that's what happens when you're running it at 64x speed, huh? Anyways, that should then be enough for us to make our warp pieces. So how do we put this together? We have a controller and a core. I suspect there will be other blocks. Let's see. Warp core. Wow, there's a lot of things in here. I've never actually fully explored this advanced rocketry mod. It's used in somewhat toned down ways, I guess you could say, in packs. So, anyways, it looks like we just need a bunch of titanium. And that's a block of gold. Can't do anything else. Input hatch. Alright, let me grab some blocks. Based on the fact that there's no energy input hatch in this listing, I assume this the warp core does not actually use any power. So I'll just build it here. And I'm not actually sure where the controller goes as well, because there's no controller in the multi-block. It might just have to go adjacent to it or something. Titanium. Next level. Sometimes it's pretty hard to actually place blocks on these holograms. I think because they have collision for clicking. Like if I click here, it'll place it exactly where I want to. Never mind, I'm just bad at this game. And at the top. Alright, so I think, yeah, by the looks of things, it's fueled by the dilithium, and thus it doesn't need RF. Neato. All right, and go. Cool. Let's put our fuel in here and put this down somewhere. All right. There's a lot of UI here. So the quest here says our next destination is Deimos, but I'm not quite sure how to get there. And our final destination appears to be Helheim. My guess is it somehow has to do with these chips. And, wait. All right, I've done something. You know what? Instead of guessing and clicking random buttons, I'm just going to look it up on their documentation. Seems like I got a little ahead of myself. The warp system isn't directly for warping players, it's for warping space stations. So the first thing we have to do is launch a space station. So back to our launch pad, I have to build and launch a space station so we can build our warp system in it so that we can warp the station to another place. I had to expand our launch facilities here a little bit to fit a space station, but like any good space station, it is made out of blocks of gold, and it is just barely large enough to fit everything I need in it, which is our warp core and the controller. I'm not going to turn it into an entity before I send it. I'm not sure if it matters. So anyways, to launch it, we have to put a satellite bay there and a space station ID chip. We can scan. I assume that does something as it scans. Ready. All right, then I'm pretty sure the next thing you do is hit build, and it does something with this. I think what it'll do is it'll launch the space station. There we go. So now the space station's up in space, and we get this chip instead. Or no, the space station's in the box. We have to launch it there with this chip. I see. Because we have to launch this space station, we need a rocket. I'm curious if we can reuse the one here. If I could either fly it back or can I just like take it back? Give me my rocket back? No? Can I still have half my fuel, right? Does that mean I can launch it back to the overworld? Let me try. Ideally, we want our rocket to return to the launch site where we can refuel it and then, let it launch our satellite up. But I don't know how to set the coordinate. I tried can I open my inventory? I tried the linker to try to link it to the launch pad. I made another ID chip somewhere, but whatever. We're just gonna launch, and wherever it lands, it lands. And worst case, if it lands in the wrong spot, I'll just disassemble it and bring it home in pieces. I can basically, right now it's like a single entity. I can turn it into the items, all the blocks that it was made of, and bring it home in pieces. All right, well, back to the overworld, the long way. According to my mini-map, I look to be at least in almost the right place, so looks like we'll be making a landing back on the pad. Look at that, SpaceX. It's this easy to return your rocket to the launch pad. I don't know what you're doing. I have no misses, no explosions yet, and 100% mission success rate. And I did this with like 30% of my fuel left. I am an excellent rocket engineer. All right, here we are. So let's fuel it again. That would seem like a good thing to do. Looks like it is being fueled already. Cool. And then if I click, let's see, how do I make it? I think instead of, I want it to launch my space station now. So do I place it as an item? Is that how that works? No. We have to make a few changes to a rocket so that it can launch satellites. That means we do have to disassemble the rocket. So I've already done that. But after you build the rocket, there's a disassemble button. And then you need to add a satellite bay to it, which I have. And you want to put your space station controller in there. Then you want to take your planet ID chip out of your guidance computer and give it the satellite or space station ID chip. And then you scan and build. Because I added blocks to it, I might have to add more. Yeah, I might have to add more fuel capacity. So I add a couple more tanks, I guess. Alright, more fuel. That should do it. Let's try that again. I feel like it takes longer to scan when your pad gets bigger. That's, I suppose, not unreasonable. Alright, looks good. So let's build this rocket. And again, that'll turn everything into a single entity. Oh, it even centers it on the pad for you. Do I want to go with it? I guess I do want to go with it, don't I? Anyways, when you open the UI now, you see that there's a satellite bay. Well, first of all, let's fuel our rocket. Link the fueling bay to the rocket again. And it's getting fueled. Cool. So now we have the guidance computer, which is telling it where to go, and a satellite bay that has our rocket in it. And the disassemble button I mentioned earlier, here it is. So that's I don't need to select my target, do I? It's destination station 1. I think we're ready to go. I'm gonna check real quick to make sure, well, for one, that our thing has enough fuel. I would hate to only make it halfway there. Let's get another bucket of fuel. Well, we're fully fueled, and I have no clue where I'm sitting, but let's just ride this rocket up and see what it does to us. I hope it doesn't murder us. Well, I'm in space. I don't know where my rocket and or space station are. However, I appear to... No, I'm just falling now. If you look right under my mini-map, my Y level is descending. I assume what's going to happen is I'm going to fall to Earth because I did something wrong and I didn't actually build my... Oh, wait. No, I'm on my rocket. Alright. Rocket, can you build my space station? I'm sure half of you are screaming at your monitors telling me exactly what to do right now, and you are probably completely correct, because I am hopelessly lost. Oh, no, there it is, my space station. Aha! Alright, cool. Can I get in? Neat. Alright, so now we have this, I can form this, but we still can't teleport anywhere because we don't know where to go. We haven't discovered the location of any other planets yet. To discover that, we need to generate data. That is distance, mass, and composition data. We need the help of satellites to do that. So let's ride this rocket back to Earth. Oh, no, before I do that, let's put a waystone here so that we can teleport back up to here. There we go. It says I don't have levels, but it's a lie. I do have levels. Anyways, we can ride this back to Earth so I can reuse this rocket for launching satellites, and then we can use satellites to generate the relevant data to find new planets. So back to Earth we go. And we're back. Alright, so now if I take the chip out of the space station, or out of the guidance computer, we can now use this chip if we want to launch another rocket to that space station. For example, to add components to it. We can also just build components on it, which is probably the easier way to do things. But I'm going to just hang on to it for later. This Planet ID chip is also linked to Earth. I assume, no coordinates, just Earth. Alright, next up we have to build satellites. So that needs its own assembling machine. That is the satellite builder. So we have space station builder, rocket builder, and now a satellite builder. If I understand things right, the satellite builder is its own multi-block. It says so right there in the tooltip. But it doesn't show up in the holo projector because I think it's considered too simple to show up. Although that also means you have to go check the wiki to learn how to use it, which is kind of annoying. Anyways, it needs to be placed on top of an input hatch. Apparently, it doesn't have to be placed on top of an input hatch. Wiki, why you lied to me? Oh, it's an input plug? Is that a different thing? It is a different... Oh, a power input plug. Well, now I have an extra input hatch for some reason. Alright, so it has to be placed on a power input plug. Would it have killed you to document this in the game? Anyways. Aha, there we go. So we have a lot of slots. I think I know what one of them does. The first one is for an empty satellite. So you have to make an empty satellite chassis. And then these are for your data. Nope, maybe not. So here we have our contender for the most confusing UI that has absolutely nothing in place to keep you from putting the wrong items in the wrong slots. Like I can put that there and this here if I wanted. I'm 100% sure that's the wrong thing to do, but it lets me do it anyways. In any event, as I said before, satellite goes in the satellite slot. Figured that one out. The chip goes in the chip slot. There's 2 chip slots. This one is only used for copying, so you can copy data from one chip to another. All right, we got that figured out. This is your, I guess, like your sensor slot. So if we look at the various sensors in advanced rocketry, there's an optical, a composition, and a mass sensor. Those generate the 3 types of data that we need. Specifically, I launched my warp controller, so I can't see it. But, there's data that 3 types of data. Each of these sensors is associated with one of them. Cool. 3 slots here for data storage units. I wonder, is there a better data storage unit? Doesn't look like it, huh? Nope. All right. And then 3 slots here for power things. I honestly don't know if our space station needs any at all, but I'm going to put a solar panel and a battery on it because it seems like a foolish idea not to. All right. Well, now if I hit build, it does something. And I get a satellite. All right. Let's see what happens when we launch it. To launch this satellite, we get on our rocket. In the guidance computer, we put our satellite ID chip. That tells it where to go. Close the UI because you can't back out of that menu. Open the UI again. In the satellite bay, we put the satellite to deploy. Do I have to go with it? I don't think I have to go with it. I don't even know what happens if I do go with it. In fact, it doesn't seem to let me take off right now, does it? Do I have to select destination? I want it in orbit around Earth. Yes. I'm not quite sure what the next step is, but I'm leaning towards let's just launch the rocket and see what happens. It lets me begin a launch without a destination. Who knows where it'll deposit me, though. Well, hope for the best. That's rocket engineering, right? Oh, wait, no, it didn't take us anywhere. Here's my next hunch. Instead of launching the satellite to, instead of putting a satellite ID chip in the controller, I put the space chip or the whatever planet ID chip. So I'm basically telling this rocket to go to space and come right back. But hopefully, as it does so, it will also deploy our rocket. Let's try this. Will it take off? It launches. All right, here's hoping. Well, we went up and now we're coming down. Let's see if we still have our satellite with us. We don't. That's good news. I think that means our satellite has been launched. Let's see. So I can close this. Let's wait till we hit the ground. Hey, look at that. That's where we do astral sorcery. And I've already set up a satellite tracking station, which hopefully can allow us to, look at our satellite and downlink the data from it. Man, I've reused this entire rocket like 3 times already. SpaceX, what are you doing? Anyways, satellite terminal. So here's our satellite ID chip. I don't know why one says... I made a copy of it, but one says Earth, one says unknown. Whatever. Connect. Hey, look at that. There's our satellite. So if I put... Can I put 12 there? How does this work? Just one? Store. Look at that. I have data stored on this. So I assume every now and then our satellite here will generate data, and maybe it's just every time I press connect it generates data. Store the chip. Alright, so I guess this is how I generate distance data. I can... Oh, I see. So every now and then it generates, a data number. And I guess 1000 data is 1 data. I don't know how numbers work. It has... I don't follow. Anyways, it's we're going to need 3 satellites for this, right? As I mentioned before, there was the I've already made the optical satellite, so now I need a composition and mass detecting satellite. 2 more launches. For this launch, I'm kind of curious what happens if I get off the rocket before it launches. It's set to, return right to here, so I expect it'll launch up, deploy a satellite, come back down, and during this time I can do something else. Well, it's launching on its own, that's good. Can I get back on it if I like? I can, as long as I can catch it. Anyways, I've made our other satellite already though, so I don't know what to do. I'm just probably gonna wait for it. I was mostly curious if I could launch it without being on it, and it turns out the answer is yes, you can. And look at that. Without any human intervention, our rocket returned. Now, we can have a rocket monitoring station, which I guess it doesn't have power. So maybe it goes here as part of our launch pad complex. Let's put it here. And I think with this, we can automatically launch missions, although it doesn't seem linked to the rocket, does it? Let's try our linker. You programmed the linker, link you with you. Yep, so now we can see that our rocket has fuel. We can launch it with this button, so let's try. I don't know how to get to this UI without getting on the rocket. Anyways, in the satellite bay goes our other satellite. And confirm, there's no dot on the fuel. Is it actually full? Looks full enough to me. Alright, so fueled launch. Maybe? Is it just counting down? Yeah, it is. And this way you can set this be redstone sensitive. But you can set this you can do cargo missions and stuff automatically. Why you would do that over using ender chests? Well, maybe your pack doesn't have ender chests. What pack doesn't have ender chests nowadays? Anyways, I guess this is kind of cool. In any event, with that 3rd rocket launch, that should mean all of our satellites are up. So if we connect here, we can see, why does our first satellite have no data all of a sudden? But our second satellite has, oh no, it has data. And our 3rd satellite isn't launched yet. So I imagine once we see that this reaches altitude, we can go back to our satellite monitoring station and see that our 3rd satellite has been deployed. Alright, so that's gone all the way up. So we should be able to connect. Look at that, and we get all the data. Alright, so now we have ways of generating distance, composition, and mass data. Let's see if we can use this to find those extra planets. Remember how just a couple minutes ago, whenever I hit the connect button, it would fill up my data bar completely and I could fill up a storage unit? One of my satellites stopped doing that, my optical satellite. My other ones are still doing that. If I hit connect, it's like, bam, full data. And I can store that. But I don't know why one of my satellites is now not cheating. I like the cheating satellite. Anyways, for some reason, my scanner cannot withdraw data storage units, so I guess I'll just not store them with that anymore. Which of these crates are they in? This one. Great, now I have to find it. I know what's happening. So you know how our rockets have 3000 data storage? When you launch a rocket, it seems to start with full data as opposed to empty data, which makes 0 sense whatsoever. Anyways, so what that means is that effectively you can get 2 full drives of data for each one, but I accidentally voided some of this data because I thought each time you hit connect, you get a full bar for free. So I have, let's see, 2 mass, 2 composition, and 2 distance. Alright, so anyways, I'm going to take this data with me up to our space. In fact, I may as well take the satellite terminals with me up to the space station. right? I don't need them down here. And then we can analyze this data to look for planets. All right, here we are in our now very cramped space station, but these need power, so I had to bring in a power cell, give them some power. But now that we have the data off the satellites, we can plug them into our warp controller. Why is everything in my hotbar moving around? What the heck is that all about? There are items here. Anyways, let's grab 1000 of each data, go to our warp controller, plug them in. So I assume distance goes in that one. Let's see, that one's mass. If I shift click composition, yeah, it doesn't even put it in the right slot. Come on. All right, anyways, I want to now empty the data out of my chips into there. I hope there's a better way of doing this than using USB sticks. But now that I have data, I can search for planet, and I think that's what I want to do. Did that do anything? Do I need... Oh, it's doing something. I do need a chip. A planet ID chip. Here's an unprogrammed one. Okay, apparently I can't withdraw any... Oh no, I can. It just lags. Alright. So, I guess if it succeeds, this planet ID chip will gain, you know, the knowledge of a planet, and then I guess I can warp there. I definitely can't launch a rocket there. Let's wait for this thing to finish. And it didn't do anything. I think that means that our scan failed. The wiki mentions that there's a high likelihood that your searches will fail. So that used 100 of our data. Doing it again, I presume when it completes, we'll use some more data. But at some point, we're bound to find something, right? Thankfully, this scanning process can be accelerated with our time in a bottle. So I don't have to wait quite the full minute it normally takes to scan. Fortunately, I haven't been successful yet, and I am through most of my first 1000 data. Sooner or later, we're bound to find it, right? Guys, I think I've done a really stupid thing, and I'm only willing to take partial responsibility for this. But while I was scanning, I was like, you know, let's just look at our destinations, right? What can we go to? You know, there's the solar system, and then go up a level. Can I assume if we discovered any other galaxies, they'd be here. But there's no other galaxies. All right, so we have our solar system. It never occurred to me that I could look in our solar system for a little planet named Helheim that's just chilling there waiting for me. It's not in the list. I looked at the list. It's not in the list. It's the quest book tells me that I'm going to Deimos, but it's there. I think I jumped through 30,000 hoops that I didn't have to. This whole planet scanning thing didn't need to happen. All I have to do is select Helheim, select, and we can warp there at a cost of 100, whoopsies, and 4. It's kind of awfully difficult to access that port, huh? But for low cost of 104 dilithium crystals and the entirety of my sanity, where did that first stack go? I don't even know. Oh, one stack gets you 1,000 fuel. All right, why is my core not ready? Core, be ready. What's not ready about it? Come on. Is it something wrong with this? It's nothing to right click here. The core block? No. I'm orbiting Earth and I want to go here. Send help. Alright, so this one is completely on advanced rocketry. When I launched this rocket, I launched it in, this state. Apparently, there's some data in the warp core that is set when you place the core down. So if you do launch your warp, especially just this one block, if you launch your warp core block with your space station, you have to break and replace it, and then reform that, and now it's ready. Hey, it didn't even waste my fuel doing that. Or did it? Let's see. I had an extra stack of fuel in here, didn't I? Yeah, it didn't even waste my fuel. All right. I guess take me there. Doing something. I feel like I shouldn't jump out of my space station right now. Alright, well, sooner or later, we'll end up there. With like a progress bar of some sort. We get to look out into the vastness of space. Ooh. Alright, so according to the UI here, we are orbiting Helheim. Next step, we have to get down there. So I don't know how you're supposed to get down there like the intended way, but I'm pretty sure if I jump, I end up there. So let's jump. I have a waystone with me to get back up. This planet is huge. I assume that's the horizon of it. See ya. But yeah, I don't like if you don't have a way to teleport up, are you supposed to like bring a rocket with you and launch back up? Okay, that's not how you get down to the planet, I discovered. I've done a bit more researching, and the astute among you will notice that we are back on Earth. That entire space station thing, I'm pretty sure is unnecessary. So we take our rocket, we disassemble it. We have to add a component to our rocket, namely that warp core we made. I don't think we need the warp controller. I think you just need the warp core. Put it anywhere on your rocket. You turn your rocket back into a rocket with the build button. I guess since I added weight to it, I might need to add more fuel or more thrust, but no, it's good. All right, now when we get on this rocket, oopsies, no, don't abort or don't launch. When we select destination, we can choose to go to Helheim. So instead of being in orbit around Helheim, we'll actually land there. That space station thing, as I mentioned, didn't need it. I spent like 2+ hours IRL, 20, 30 minutes of footage doing absolutely nothing productive. I wish the guidebook had slightly better guidance as to what to do with this. Anyways, select it. Now it says we're going to Helheim. So that's where we get planet shards, I presume. Or at least that's where we get the, I hope, magma-soaked cobblestone to make planet shards. So this is not fueled because I remade the rocket. All right, let me refuel my rocket. Fueled up and ready to go. And why am I sitting not on the seat, but I'm sitting in the warp core? Can I sit in the seat I put on my rocket, please? No? All right. Well, up we go. And we've made it, I think. Let's start descending. It looks like we're in a ice mountains biome. Can I check my dimension here? I am outside of world, hey? Alright, well, I'm sure when I land, it'll be abundantly clear that we're either in the right place or the wrong place. While the world generates, I don't actually fall anywhere. If you look at my Y level, it like goes down and jumps back up. Alright, here we go. Almost at the surface. Let's go in third-person view so I don't accidentally give someone a seizure. And I think once we're here, let's see, the quest was to get magma-soaked cobblestone. Looks like that might just be the surface block here. Hey, would you look at that magma-soaked cobblestone? What are these things? They're just shadows? Light level, no, it's level 15. Why is it so dark? I don't understand. Whatever. I spent all this time getting here. I'm gonna get some of my magma-soaked cobblestone. And let's set up a waystone so I can get back here if needed. That's what this place is called, right? Helheim. Alright, cool. And I'll collect just a couple stacks for now. I'm sure eventually we'll need more, but I can move a quarry here later. That should be enough to get us at least to the next age. Since I may need this rocket again, I'll just ride the rocket back to Earth instead of taking the teleporter though. So, select destination. This time, Earth. Here we are on our way back to the surface of the Earth. Now, I think it's easy to say this episode has been a cacophony of failure. But let's take a second and discuss why this happened and perhaps what we can learn from it. So, why did I end up in this situation? I largely think it was because I was misled by this quest in particular. It sent us to the moon to gather dilithium and to make the warp controller, which kind of implied that you were meant to use the warp controller and the dilithium, right? But to get to Helheim, I didn't use either. In fact, I guess it's part of the rocket. I can't click it anymore. But the warp thingy there doesn't even use dilithium, so I didn't need any of that dilithium. Likewise, the warp controller is still sitting, it's sitting there in my space station, completely unused. So I mostly attribute my mistake to this quest misleading me, combined with the fact that advanced rocketry has pretty poor documentation as to how you do things. For example, the fact that you can put your warp core directly on your rocket to go within your solar system. There's like one line about it in the wiki, which, combine that with basically no in-game documentation that I know of, and a quest that misleads me results in me being very misled. And I think the second thing is the choice of names for these planets. So if we look at, this quest mentions a name Deimos. And, sure, that's a typo. That should say Helheim. And here it mentions Helheim. The reason I didn't expect Helheim to be in the solar system is that when you and I presumably have some level of knowledge of the planets in the solar system. And there isn't one named Helheim in here, right? If you wanted to name it Uranus, Mercury. That's not how you spell Mercury. Saturn. If you named it one of those planets, we would immediately, it would click. We would think, oh yeah, that's a planet in the solar system. But when you name a planet Helheim, I find it very unintuitive. Why would you think, oh yeah, this is a planet that's in the solar system, right? You think, oh yeah, this is a planet that isn't in our isn't in our solar system. What does that mean? Well, that means you have to leave the solar system. And then thus I went and pursued documentation trying to, tell me how to do that. That problem was slightly exacerbated by the fact that the planet doesn't show up in the list for some unknown reason. Like, I assume it's supposed to be here, but between Mars and Saturn is, the asteroid belt. So it's a very reasonable place for there to just be a blank slot. So, I think this is like the perfect storm of misleading quest combined with I don't want to call the mod misleading because I don't think the mod is actually awful. I think it could use some work, but a lack of documentation in the mod, I'll use that. The misleading quest combined with a lack of documentation in the mod set me down on a wild goose chase, effectively. But hey, we've made one quest of progress today, and you know what? That's all we're gonna get. We'll come back next episode, make our planet shards. We're actually surprisingly far away from actually completing. We're probably 1 or 2 episodes away from completing the era. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching me struggle through this. It was a fun experience, even if 90% of the stuff I did was useless. I now know more about advanced rocketry than I did before, and hopefully you do too. So, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.